Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Nice to be here with you today, this evening. Before I begin, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to UNDP for making this initiative possible. We look forward to working with UNDP and the youth participants of this dialogue in the future by helping the participants to apply nonviolent communication skills as a peace building tool. I'm the executive director of the Center for Communication Training, and our main focus is to promote nonviolent communication skill as a peace building tool that can be applied in different circumstances. It can be applied in your families, with your friends, and your colleagues, and the wider community. And we have been promoting these skills from 2003, and we've been able to train several thousand participants, many youth, and also university students, etc. I do not want to take too much of my time because the program is limited to 1.5 hours. And 1.5 hours is a short time to learn these skills. So what I would encourage you to do is after the conclusion of this training session, I would like you to contact us and see whether we can be of any more help to you to learn these skills and apply these skills in your lives. So without taking too much of your time, I will now introduce my two trainers who will take this training process forward. Initially, it will be Anna, who is who's been working with us for the last 3 years, and following her, it will be uh, Ramanusha, who is our program manager, who has been with us for a long time. So you have two of my very able trainers to take you through this process. So wish you good luck. I'll be in the background. Have a good evening. Thank you. Ramanusha, are you going first? Or who is going first?
Johanna.
Johanna, okay.
Yes, I will take over from here.
Okay.
Yes, also from my side, welcome everyone. I'm also I feel very honored to be part of this dialogue and to share with you what I and we at CCT are very passionate about. As Dr. Joe said, we have a very short amount of time today, so it's just going to be a small teaser into the whole field of nonviolent communication. And we do hope that it sparks some interest in you or in some of you. And there are a lot of really interesting YouTube videos on nonviolent communication. So feel free to, after this session, to also go and look into these to get like more ideas, and also always contact us for further exchange and learning. So we wanted to start this session today with you, asking you about what is your understanding of peace building. So you all may have some quick intuitive associations with the word, what is peace building? And we would like to hear from you what these are. And for that, we would like you to just use our Jamboard or whiteboard, whatever we call it. And I'm sharing the link. That is not the right link. I'm sharing the link in the chat so that you can all connect to that. And it's not a exam question. It's really just like what comes up for you when you hear the word peace building. What came up when you read this title? Okay, I think you must all be seeing the link in the chat. So please click on that. And then just you can add some sticky notes on the left side. There's a panel. And just type in quickly what comes up for you when you hear the word peace building, or when you imagine peace building and you doing peace building. What is it?
Johanna, I think you need to share in the everyone the link.
Oops, how did that happen? Okay. Yes, I want to share with everyone and I want to hear from everyone. I think now you got it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know actually whether it's possible to type in Tamil or Sinhala in that sticky notes. So if you are unable to open the link and type your thoughts into that, so please feel free to type it right directly into the chat here, and we'll have a look at that as well. And I'm going to share my screen. Oshan, can I be unable to share my screen? Or else you can share the Jamboard. Yes, now I can share. Yes, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So you should be able to see the Jamboard, and with the link that I put in the chat, you can open the same window and add your sticky notes here on the left side. You can add either a sticky note, or you can choose the pen and directly write something, or you can just choose a text box. Yes. So we have someone said, allowing people to share their thoughts and feelings about certain topics freely without the fear of being stigmatized, and listening to people with a goal of understanding, so we learn more about each other. Okay, anything else? Is there anything in the chat? I didn't. You can also unmute yourself and just share it if that's easier for you. I know with a phone it's sometimes difficult to access those pages. It's a long-term process. Yes, it's a long-term process indeed. Strengthening relationships. Any more thoughts, ideas? Peace is justice and equality. Mm-hmm. We can put that here also. And action to identify and support structures tend to strengthen and solidify in order to avoid any conflicts. Mm-hmm. That's already on the Jamboard. Thank you very much. And now a long-term process of encouraging people to talk to the talk relationship and reforming institutions. Okay, I can see different levels here. Bringing interfaith communities together. Yes. Great. I think some of you might just be coming from the session of interreligious dialogue. So yeah, bringing people together. Very true. So feel free to continue typing your thoughts. Maybe during the session, you'll come up with new thoughts and new ideas. So please feel free to continue entering them here. We can collect them and share them later with you. That's it's all very valuable inputs and gives us a lot of ideas to further reflect and get inspired by. Being able to bear and accept cultural and religious differences. Yes. Exactly. Okay. That's a great first little brainstorm on yeah, what is it that we understand as peace building? Sharing respect and understanding under a common humanity undivided by ethnicity or race. Yes, that's a beautiful thought. So I will stop sharing now for a moment and would like to ask Ramanusha to share the presentation. Gender equality and equity. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So as we introduced, we are kind of focused on nonviolent communication as a tool for peace building. And what we understand as, can you share make it as a presentation? Yes. Okay. So exactly. So what we thought about when we were invited to share our ideas and concepts of the nonviolent communication, we thought that for us there are different levels of peace, right? So as you can see here on top of this pyramid, it's called personal peace. So that's our inner peace. So peace is not just about something outside, but what we understand is that peace is also within ourselves. So I have to do something to have inner peace, right? Because we have a lot of experiences in life, a lot of interactions that might kind of kick us out of our balance. So there are different ways for us to find our inner peace. And when you talk about religious practices, a lot of religious practices have the purpose to, bring inner peace, besides other things. And then there's another layer, which would be interpersonal peace. So that means peace between individuals, between me and my friend, between me and my teacher, between me and the bus driver, and so forth. And then there's a next level, which is the intergroup peace or social peace. So this is more about groups and how can groups build peace among themselves. And then, of course, there are more levels you can add. It comes on to the national level and then the international level. How do we build peace at an international level among states and nations? And finally, how do we build peace as one humanity, right? How do we build peace as inhabitants of one planet? And that also means peace not only with individuals and human beings, but also how do we create peace with our entire environment and with the nature which we are part of. So what we figured out when we looked at, okay, what are the things that we do to build peace at all these different levels? We came to the conclusion that at the end of the day, it's about respect, and it's about tolerance, and it's about cooperation. And what we thought is, at the end of the day, it all boils down to communication, right? At the end of the day, communication and understanding is at the core of peace building, because that's where the connection is being created. So that's how we are using nonviolent communication as a tool for peace building, because we want to learn communication as the major skill in peace building. And with that, I'm handing over to Ramanusha. You are mute. Yeah, you have to unmute. Sorry.
Thank you, Johanna. So from this point, I would like to introduce nonviolent communication. Can you see the next slide?
The slide cannot be seen.
Sorry. Okay, I'll share again because I could not move to the next slide.
Okay, fine now.
Okay, so before I introduce nonviolent communication, I would like to introduce one of the key themes or one of the key principles of nonviolent communication, which we call connection before solution. Especially in conflicting situations, or it can be a violent conflict, or it can be a very natural conflict between people. Most of the time, it is very difficult to resolve the conflicts or to build peace because the trust and connections are broken between the conflicting parties or conflicting people. So therefore, this process of nonviolent communication, we try to put our all energy and time in building connection between people. So what do I mean by connection is something like a heart level connection where people can understand each other's feelings and needs. So to build this, if we can build this heart to heart connection, then everything can follow easily. You can, when you build the trust and connection between people, and that can help them to resolve their differences and problems easily. The main challenge for us here in any conflict, especially in protracted conflicts, is to build the connection, to reconnect the connection between people. So that is what we call it, like connection before solution. So the scholar who created this process called Dr. Marshall B. Rosenberg, so he explains even in a mediation process, in a conflict, if we can spend our energy, even the 90% of the energy to connect and create understanding between people, and only 10% is enough to find solution, because most of the time we are thinking, oh, how to find solution, how to resolve these problems, but the solutions can follow if the connection is already built. So that is what one of the key principles, or even we can call it the main intention of nonviolent communication, is to build heart-to-heart connection between people, especially in a conflicting or a turmoil situation. So as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Marshall B. Rosenberg, who developed this NVC process with 4 components, namely observation, feelings, needs, request. So he created this 4-step process, or this 4-component process, in order to build connection between people. So we believe that human beings are interconnected. There is a natural bonding between human beings, whether we like it or not. Naturally, we have the capacity to connect to each other, even in a conflicting situation, because we all are interconnected. So this process is merely helping us to reveal that natural, compassionate connection within ourselves, also between each other. So nonviolent communication is not a process that we are teaching, okay, this is a good process, please strictly follow this. When you follow this, only you'll be a good person. It is not like that. It is developed in the belief that we, as human beings, we all have the capacity to have a compassionate connection with each other. We all have this compassionate connection, which is buried because of our history, painful social learning, and various other reasons, also because of our primitive brain system, that this connection is broken, or connection is always challenging for us in a conflicting situation, or in a situation of danger or conflicts or even violence. So therefore, this process is helping us to reveal that natural, compassionate connection within ourselves and between each other. So this process is helping us to reveal, or it helps us to, remove the block, so that we can build the connection between each other. Okay, so as we have given a very short period, still we are trying to introduce these 4 components. So then we can see how we can apply these the principles and the principles and concepts of these 4 components in our communication, as well as in our peace building activities. So the first component of nonviolent communication is observation. So before I explain what is observation, I would like to share a picture to all of you, and I would like to hear your observation about this picture. Can you all see this picture? If you can see, can share a thumbs up. Can you see this picture clearly? Okay.
I can see it, and there I can see 1 thumbs up.
Yes. Can you all see this picture clearly? If you can see clearly, can you show thumbs up? Okay, I can see a few thumbs up, so I assume that everyone can see it clearly.
Yes.
Okay, observe this, see this picture clearly, and please share your observations about this picture. You can put it in chat box. You can also unmute yourself and share also. So please share your observations in this picture. You can put it in chat box, or you can also unmute yourself and speak. So I would like to hear the observation you can see in this picture. Who would like to share? You can put it in chat box, or you can share. You can talk. Any observation you see in this picture? Okay, so from Imali, an affectionate couple admit a protest. Yes, so that is one sharing. Sumi shares that this picture shown us the conflict situation. Okay. I would like to hear from more people so then we can learn from each other. Zahra says complicated scenario. Okay. Baby Shalini says protect to her. Samindri in a peace. Okay. The couple behind the wall. Okay, I'll take all of these sharing. So my question is, what are your observation in this picture? So before to look into this, we'll go to the next slide. I don't know why it is not moving.
You want to fall?
Sorry? Did anyone say something? Okay, let's learn what is observation. Observation is what we see and what we hear that we identify as a stimulus to our reactions. So observations are basically what we see and what we hear, taste and sense, basically from all our 5 organs. So whatever we receive from our all 5 organs, that we call as observation, where we can also say it like a stimulus for our reactions. So basically observation means we state what we observe without adding our interpretations or evaluations. Observation means what we see and what we hear. So in this picture, we can only see because there is nothing to hear here. So when we are seeing a picture, we need to see what we can see without adding any evaluations or interpretations or any analysis or conclusions. So some of you have shared like there's a couple or there's an inner peace, there's a conflict. First of all, we need to identify how do we know whether these two of them are couple or not. Can you verify that? Can you verify that they are couple? Any answers? No. So, okay, already before, Sumi also shared in that, conflict situation, in the conflict situation, couples sharing their love. So when we see a man and a woman, and in this picture, looks like, they are holding each other, looks like the face is facing on top of the other person's face. So it looks like a couple, or they are affectionate, or they are, nobody said kissing, but you have mentioned that they're affectionate couple, or they're couple, or they love, inner peace. We are interpreting this picture as they are kissing or they are intimate. But actually, in the actual picture, this is something like this man is giving a, how to say, the artificial breath to the women to protect, because she is needing a help. So in the other, if you take the picture from the other side, so that is the real scenario. But when we see a picture, then we are coming to our evaluations and interpretations, especially They are couple, they are making love made of a protest, and this is inner peace and this is love, etc., etc. There is nothing wrong in making a judgments or evaluations or interpretations, but we need to know to differentiate this observation and evaluation and interpretations, because this is what happened even in social media. We see a lot of pictures, and we make our evaluations and interpretations, and most of them might be true or might be not true. So therefore we need to clarify ourselves what is observation and what is interpretation, or what is observation and what is evaluation. So why we are learning this observation in the process of nonviolent communication is, when we are communicating, we need to make sure, are we communicating the facts? Are we communicating the observation, or are we communicating our judgments which can lead to disconnection and conflicts? Let's say rather than saying a person as you are a rude person, we can clearly mention the observation. When I said good morning to you, I saw you turning your head. This is what I saw. But rather than stating that, we might say you are a rude person. Or we can tell to a person that you are a lazy person. But what did I see? I saw you getting up at 10 o'clock in the morning. So in the process of nonviolent communication, the first step is to differentiate the observation and evaluation. So when we are communicating our observation, then we can build a communication with clarity and connection. Okay, so we'll move to the next component, which is feelings. So I would like to hear from you all. Can you share some of human feelings? You can put it in chat box. Can you share some of the human feelings? Any human feelings? Angry, love, angry, happiness, frustration, caring, jealousy, trust, proud, sad, helping others. Helping others is something like a value rather than a feeling. Okay, thank you. So there are numerous feelings human beings have. So these human beings are our inner experience and emotions which are connected to our needs. These feelings, what we can experience in our body, feeling something we can experience in our heart. But the thoughts are something like we experience in our head. So if I'm saying that I am sad, then that's a feeling. But if I'm saying that I feel like leaving you, that is something like a thought. So feelings are not our thoughts or opinions. Feelings something like our inner experience, which we can experience within our body. And feelings are universal. So we can connect another human beings at feelings level. The feelings like sad, happy, scared, heartbroken, disgusted, all these feelings, we all share same feelings. So by understanding my feelings and other person's feelings, we can build connection and we can build understanding between each other. And the another important thing in feelings, why we learn in nonviolent communication is, so feelings are something like a natural mechanism built in ourselves. So these feelings are helping us to identify our needs, because these feelings are like our messengers to identify our unmet needs. Let's say I'm feeling so tired, it means my body is saying that I'm wanting rest. And if there are times if I'm feeling very upset, maybe my inner emotions are telling me I'm missing something. I might be wanting some encouragement. I might be wanting some appreciation. So our inner feelings are like messengers, and then it gives us signal to identify the needs behind that. So therefore, feelings are also like this universal for human beings where we can connect to each other. So from this point, I would like to invite Johanna to introduce needs as our third component.
Thank you. So the third component of nonviolent communication, which Ramanusha already mentioned, are the needs. And needs are really one of the, I would say, the core elements for us to connect with each other. The main understanding of nonviolent communication is that we need to build our capacity to be aware of the needs in every moment, right? If I can connect to what my needs are in every moment of the day, and if I can connect with what needs are steering in the other person at every moment, then I can really develop understanding and connection. The idea is that, yes?
Sorry, I'm having an issue to move the slides. I think if any of Oshan or someone can help to share the slides, because it's not moving. I don't know why.
Yes. Is there anyone, Oshan or Alani, are you able to share our presentation?
It's okay.
If you stay without the presentation mode, is it working or no? So
we can see the screen, Ayana. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, needs, as I said, are the core element of nonviolent communication. And the understanding in nonviolent communication is that we all have needs, right? So every human being has a whole range of needs, and they are universal. We all share the same needs. There are no needs that I only have that somebody else won't have. But we all have the same needs, and we may have different priorities at different times. I might have put a lot of priority on, let's say, the need of to be seen and to be recognized, and another person might have the need for food and shelter in a very high priority at the same moment. So those might be the differences, but we all have the same set of needs that are kind of guiding our life, because needs are what really thrives us, and needs are what push us to actually realize ourselves, right? To fulfill our life's potential. And that's why we also call needs our life energy. Because as Ramanusha said, if we feel emotions, that the emotions are there to tell us there are some specific needs that are not being met, that you need to meet in order to have a kind of fulfilling life and to have well-being and inner peace. And what is important is to differentiate also between needs and strategies, right? So let's say I have a craving for pizza for tonight. So my need is not to have a pizza, right? My need might be to, my need might be as simple as to have food and nutrition. But my need could also be for companionship, because I'm going with my friend to have pizza. So it's more about meeting my friend than about eating the pizza. My need could be to give care, because my friend really feels sad and wants to have a conversation. So I go to have pizza with her so I can listen to her. So there are different needs that I might be meeting by this strategy to go and have pizza. And this is where this consciousness or this understanding of needs becomes relevant, because we may have a lot of different strategies to meet needs, and we may have a lot of different opinions and thoughts about certain things. But if we are able to understand our own needs, and if we are able to understand the needs of another person, then that's something where we can really connect, right? And because we can connect, because we have the same experience of needs, right? So I might not have same experience of a situation than another person, but I may have the same experience of the needs. All of us have felt the need of having fun in some time or the other, or we all have had the need of efficiency and effectiveness at some point or the other. So I can always connect with you at that level of this need. Maybe your understanding of effectiveness is different than mine, but I can relate to the need of being effective. So that's where needs are really very relevant for us in any communication and dialogue, because if we can get to the level of the needs, we are more likely to hear each other. If I can express my needs rather than my strategy or what I'm wanting, then it's more likely for the other person to actually listen and hear me. And expressing our deep needs is also very inviting for the other person to act upon it, because as Ramanusha said in the beginning, we are compassionate beings, even though we sometimes unlearn that compassion, but we all want to contribute to each other's life. So if I express my need, the other person might be called to help me to fulfill my need. That's the understanding, at least, that we have in nonviolent communication. As with everything, it can be discussed, but this is at the core of nonviolent communication. So another understanding is that whatever we do as human beings, we do in order to meet our needs. So that's why we call it life energy, because whatever I do, if I go out and do sports, I'm trying to meet my needs. If I go and call my mother, I'm trying to meet a need. If I go to the university and study a subject, I'm trying to meet a need. So needs are really what drive us in life. And so that's why we want to really develop the skill to connect with our needs, because we are not trained usually to do that, right? So the needs are very unconscious most of the time. So one of the skills or one of the practices that we do, and where nonviolent communication helps us, is to really learn and train ourselves to become aware of our needs and to get in touch with our needs on a regular basis. So that will also help us to identify the needs of other people that we are in a conversation with more easily. And we have listed here some of the needs. There are a lot of needs, and just to get an idea, we have here listed some of them. For example, inspiration is a need, harmony is a need, order is a need, freedom, of course, very important one. I mean, they are all important, but some we can connect more easily with, and with some others maybe less. Humor is a big need, sexual expression, choice. I think we all can connect very much to the need of having choice. Play is a need, rest, sleep, spontaneity, and there are so many more. And it's very useful to go through those lists every now and then and try to really feel your needs, because there are so many nuances, and it's important for our own inner peace also to become aware what am I needing, what needs are not met, and then so that I can take care of them. Because if I'm not aware of the needs that are not met, I cannot take care of them, and I cannot take the responsibility to actually meet and fulfill those needs. And when it comes to fulfilling needs, we come to the next step of nonviolent communication, for which I'm handing back over to Ramanusha.
Sorry. Thank you, Johanna. The next component is request. Before that, I also like to share some of the feelings list, which I was not able to share before. So here I am sharing some of the feelings list. When our needs are not fulfilled, when our needs are fulfilled, then we get happy feelings like open-hearted, curious, interested, excited, empowered, encouraged, like that. And there are times we feel kind of a unpleasant feelings or like sad type of feelings when our needs are not fulfilled. So that we can see dismayed, annoyed, angry, disconnected, perplexed, torn, discouraged, gloomy, restless. So these are the feelings words we use in our communication to express our authenticity and also to understand the other person's situation. So the feelings are, we need to improve our literacy of feelings, because when we are going to replace our communication with feelings and needs, then we need to improve our feelings and needs vocabulary, because in the process, in the nonviolent communication, we are going to replace the blame language, we are going to replace the criticism, we are going to replace the shame language. So we are going to, if we are going to replace those language, then we need to improve our vocabulary of feelings and needs. So therefore, we need to improve our vocabulary. And because we are not used to these feelings words, after practicing nonviolent communication, then we'll become familiar to express our feelings and needs. Feelings and needs are universal, because any human being can connect with each other based on these feelings and needs. So that is what we are giving a lot of importance for feelings and needs in the process of nonviolent communication. Okay, so I'll come to the fourth component. This is also called like a action point, or the final component, or we call it like in a road signal. It's something like a green light. Okay, we have connected with feelings and needs, and what is next? That is the part, even we can call it the solution part or the action part. So after identifying each other's needs and what are the solutions we can propose, and when we are proposing the solution, how we can communicate? Can we ask a person to do something based on guilt and shame and punishment, or can we ask a person to do something out of their willingness and joy? So when we are making a request, we need to make a very clear and doable request. At the same time, we also need to ask a request whether the person can do it with joy, or the person has the energy and the capacity to do that request. For example, sometime we make very unclear requests. I can ask my friend, can you help me with my assignment? Then my friend also might say yes, and then after some time I said, okay, you told me yes that you will help me with the assignment, but you did not, because I did not make a clear request. So I need to ask my friend that I need to complete. I need a help from to complete my assignment. So can you check the literature review and read it and give your comments, so then I can add the changes. So you need to ask, rather than asking, can you help me with the assignment? You can ask a specific request. And we also need to check the intention of the request. If we make a request, and if the person is saying a no, and if you're going to get angry and furious, how dare this person can say no, then that is not a request. Request is something we are open to hear a no. If you are not open to hear a no, then that is not a request. That is a demand. It can be a indirect demand, or it can be a direct demand. So indirect demand would be like, you need to do this, otherwise I will punish you, or you need to do this because you are a good person. That is an indirect demand. Then direct demand would be, okay, you should do this and you have no choices. But in the process of nonviolent communication, we encourage people to make requests as much as possible, because when we make requests, then other person is more encouraged to do from from a joyful heart, rather than feeling obliged, rather than feeling shame. So request as a last component of nonviolent communication. So it opens many ways for creativity and find a creative solution, which also consider the needs of everyone in that. So that is the key points of the component of request. And I stopped from here because we had a long theoretical session explaining the whole 4 components, and I really want us to have a break here and open this space for a question and answer. So you can ask your questions, or you can also share your comments or your thoughts or insights at this point before we move into the next step. So you can ask questions, or you can share any comments till now. Nonviolent communication also is a very vast area, so it is very challenging for us to present within a 1.5 hour. You can unmute yourselves and ask, or you can also put it in chat box. This is also a communication workshop and not a lecture, so it would be very much encouraging, and it would meet our need for collaboration and cooperation if you can share your questions or comments. You can put it in the chat box also. Okay, there is a question. Okay, how can you overcome the initial challenge to maybe the first to ask a question or make a conversation? Okay, it is an interesting question, yes. Because when there is a disconnection or a conflict, sometimes it's like, okay, who is going to make that initiative? Because there's uncomfortable to, to initiate a talk. I can totally resonate with that, because when there are difficult conversation or difficult conflicting situation, there are times I really wanted to have a conversation, but I'm like, it is always challenging to start the conversation. So I can share some tips, and Johanna also can add if there are any more. So in those type of situations, I try to check with the person. I make the request first. I would like to have some conversation with you. So would you like to talk to me for a 30 minutes, or would you like to give me a time to talk about it? So just to have some, make some mini request before we start the difficult conversation would be helpful. There's the other thing also I do. I feel very nervous and scared or even upset to start a conversation. So you also can express your feelings honestly. So that also can help you to calm down to, continue the conversation. Like, I'm nervous to talk about this. At the same time, I really value this friendship. So I would like to talk about this. So you can express your feelings, and you can also express your intention. It can be a little uncomfortable and difficult conversation. However, I really value this, relationship, or I really value the cooperation we need to work on. So I would like to talk about that. So you can make a mini request that I would like to talk with you. When is the possible time to talk to you? To talk for 30 minutes. And then you can express your feelings, the current feelings, and you also can express your intention. So this can ease you to start a difficult conversation. Does this answer your question, Angela? Yes, thank you. Johanna, if you have... Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to add a little tiny bit on it, because what you mentioned, the intention, I think that is very crucial for us to keep in mind, that what is my intention to have a conversation with someone, right? And if we can bring alive this intention to connect, then we already find ourselves in a different kind of spirit, right? In a different setting. So because that, at least in my experience, if I can connect with my intention to connect with the other person, then I'm much more open to also listen to the other person, because especially if it's a difficult conversation, I have all my judgments, my prejudices, my stories, and my blame and whatnot. And if I'm able to really get in touch with my intention to actually try to connect with people and to build bridges even across those differences, then I'm much more likely to have that openness to also listen to the other person. Because very often we are very good at talking and sharing our point of view and our feelings and needs, but are we open to listen to the other person? And are we open to really be also impacted by what the other person is saying, right? The dialogue starts at this moment when I open myself up to be to listen, to be touched in maybe in an emotional way, but also to change my understanding and to change my point of view. So if I don't have that openness to consider changing my point of view, then we're not really in a dialogue, and then the differences might prevail. So that's why for me the intention is very important.
Thank you, Johanna, for sharing that, because many people at initial stage think that NVC is about getting your things done. And to really communicate in NVC, you really need to have a really openness to, see what will unfold out of this conversation. So you need to be very, very open also. And so there are two sharings. One is from Imali. Like to hear your thoughts on our need for emotional psychological safety to open up. Too often we tend to shut or close in environments where this is not present. Yeah, I totally agree for this also, because we need to really prepare ourselves before we go to a conversation, or even we can imagine possible, negative reactions. So how we are going to respond to that. And then it is not a compulsory that we need to talk all the problems with everyone. So even we can call for mediation, and we can call for a supporter or a mentor also. So it is not a compulsory. If you are not ready, if you're really feeling unsafe, and it is not a compulsory that you should talk to a person also. And yes, Johanna.
Yes, also on that note, I think if we make ourselves vulnerable and share something really emotional about us that is related to our safety, I think it invites other people to kind of support us. But it's not always the case. There are environments where there's no respect for that vulnerability. So in that situations, it's absolutely fine, not just fine. I think it's important and essential to also take care of our need of safety and not to share. So it's like Ramanuja said, we don't always have to share. We can have a conscious decision that for my own safety at the moment, I decide not to share. I may decide to leave the room, or to, whatever it is that I need to do to ensure my own safety.
Thank you, Johanna. There's another sharing and a question. NVC is one of the compulsory subjects in our BA degree program at Open University. This event also very useful for everyone who participate in this event, also peace building process. The main problem in our current situation, we can't understand others' feelings and feelings and never respect and accept their thoughts. NVC clearly explained how we can manage our problem and handle our conflict situation. Thank you for this good opportunity. Okay, it's a comment. Thank you, Suni, no? Sumi. Okay. Okay, thank you, RNJ from Imali. Okay, so shall we move to our next step? So I and Johanna are going to demonstrate a role play. It is not a, it is not the perfect or idealistic, but just to give you some taste, because sometime in a role play it is very easy to demonstrate, but when you go to a real life situation, it's it's very challenging. So I would like to demonstrate a conversation or a communication. So first I would like to do a kind of a usual way of communication or a conflicting way of communication first, and then we will demonstrate the NVC way of communication. Okay. So the situation is that I and Johanna are part of a project team, and we are like working in the same team. Okay. Johanna, I think you can also unmute. Johanna, I'm so frustrated with you. You are such a lazy person and you are not trustworthy at all. Every time you undertake things and you don't finish it. Every time you say yes, I'll do it, but you never do it. You are such a lazy person and not a trustworthy person at all. I don't know how we are going to finish this project, and you are not even a team player. I'm sorry to say this, Johanna, but I'm honestly saying you're not a team player. It's very difficult to work with you and you're not trustworthy.
What is it that you're talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing like this. I'm not lazy at all. If you walk around and over the tea you say, oh, you do this, you do that. So that doesn't mean I have to do. So I don't understand what you're talking about.
See,
like
even now,
go and ask all the other colleagues. Nobody will say I'm lazy or I'm not trustworthy. I do my things. If you ask me to do, I'll do. No problem at all.
even now you're not accepting your mistake. Anyway, I'll leave it.
What mistake? There's no mistake to accept. Why should I accept a mistake that's not there? You always tell others you have to accept your fault and your fault. There's no fault. The fault is with you.
Okay, so we pause the conflict. It can go on and on, or it can go on and on into the fighting like this, or the other person might choose to not to speak, or there can be like a quiet situation, and there can be a lot of disconnection also. So here I expressed my judgments about her, and also kind of a blame and kind of an intention of making her shame or making her to realize her mistake. So these can be the intention. So now I try to apply these 4 components and express what I want to communicate in this situation. So before I go to the communication, before I go to communicate with her, I also try to check with myself, am I open to express myself authentically? At the same time, am I also open to receive her empathetically? So what is my intention? So I kind of prepare myself to prepare my intention that I'm going to communicate with Johanna. At the same time, I'm also willing to build connection between us, so then we can resolve the conflicts easily. So hi Johanna.
Hi.
I would like to talk about the project task for 20 minutes. Is it okay to talk about that?
20 minutes, you're saying?
Yeah, it can. I would like to talk about the project task. It might go till not much, 20 minutes, maximum 20 minutes. Is that okay to talk about that now?
Yeah, okay. Okay, fine.
Okay. So, Johanna, I'm nervous to complete our project by this Saturday. And you send me the final report on Wednesday, and I didn't get it, and I'm nervous because when I'm going to tell this to my team leader, I'm so scared about it. I'm also surprised that I didn't receive any email this Wednesday, and I would like to know what happened about that report. Would you like to share with me?
Yeah, I'm hearing that you are nervous. Seems like you are worried to go and tell the team leader that you didn't get the report on time and that we might not be able to complete the project. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm nervous, and I really need some assurance that that we will somehow finish this project by this Saturday. And I would like to know the reasons, or I'm curious to know why I didn't receive any report from till now.
Okay, so I'm hearing that you really want clarity when I can send the report, and you are wanting my cooperation for this project to finish it together.
Yes. First of all, I want some clarity, yeah, and I would like to know the reasons. Would you like to share that?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't submit the report yet. I also value cooperation very much. So that's why I said when you asked me whether I can write the report, I said yes, because I enjoy the teamwork and I like this cooperation that we have. And in the meantime, I got 5 other tasks that are very high priority as well. And I could not say, these are my responsibilities also. So I could not say no to them. And so I couldn't find the time to do it. But
So tell me, Johan.
Yes, if I have the moment I finish this other thing, I can work on it.
So I'm hearing you that you also really love to have cooperation, and you're also willing to support, and you value teamwork. At the same time, you got 5 other projects and 5 other priorities, and so you couldn't find time and energy to do everything. And you say, and you're sad about it.
Yes.
Okay. So after hearing you, some idea is coming to my mind. So whether we can talk to our team leader jointly, whether we can get 1 week more time to finish this work. What do you think about that? That we jointly, because I'm a little nervous to talk, only me asking. So shall we jointly go and ask to our team leader, we can get 1 week time? How this sounds to you?
Yes, I'm willing to do that. I can come with you so that it feels like a shared request and not just your individual request.
Okay, thank you. So, demo communicate nonviolent communication components and principles. However, it looks like a very happy ending, but doesn't mean we all have happy ending in all the conversations. But we try to we chose a very little kind of less intense situation, so we can easily understand the process. So the same nonviolent communication process can be applied for interpersonal conflicts like these, or with a coworker, or with a family member, or the same process can be applied for even for a protracted conflict in a country, or even for a systematic violence and cultural violence issues, but along with the other support of other peace building tools. So nonviolent communication is not merely between two people, but this process also can be applied for immensely for inner peace, also for interpersonal conflicts, also for protracted conflicts and intergroup conflicts, or even for larger level systematic conflicts, systematic violence also. So this is a demonstration. So we would like to check the time also. Oh, we are almost there. So I would like to share one more thing, and then we can open the space for comments and clarification. So I would like to share. Okay, so I would like to briefly introduce this NVC tree. So so demonstrating this, in a communication, there are three components. One is self-connection, which is also can be called as self-empathy. Other one is a self-expression, where we go and express our feelings, our observation, and our request. And then when other person is responding, we also can choose to listen other person's feelings and needs. We can be empathetic towards other person. So in any communication, you can see this tree, because the first one is like a root, the self-connection. The self-connection part, I didn't show that much, but you might need to do a lot of self-connection before you go to a difficult conversation. You might need to do a self-connection, how I am feeling, how I am needing, or checking my intention. And then we go to a communication. So we might need to do a lot of self-connection, which also can help us to bring a lot of inner peace. So then we go to a communication, and we can start with our self-expression, or we can start with the empathetic expression. The empathetic expression can be verbal as well as non-verbal also. So empathy means that we are open to hear the feelings and needs of other person. It's not only we are explaining my feelings, my needs, I want this and that, but I'm also open empathetically. And there are difficult times, maybe I pause the conversation, and then I might go back to self-connection and again come back. So it is like an infinite thing, rather than, okay, these are the 4 steps I did, the conversation is over. It is not like that. So the whole communication process is based on these 3 applications of self-empathy, empathy, and self-expression. Okay, so we have a few more minutes, so we have some questions for reflections. Johanna, do you like to go ahead with that, or we give time for sharing now?
I think we can do. We have time to do both to a certain extent. I just wanted to comment on the self-empathy part, because we haven't really touched upon it in this session. But from my perspective, this self-empathy part is very essential for us, I feel, as not only as peace builders, but also as human beings, right? Because it really helps us to, be in our balance. So if I'm, or like in yoga, they would call it the neutral mind, right? So if I am out of balance myself, I can get triggered very easily, right? So if I'm not if I don't have my inner peace, I go out on the road, somebody says something that's difficult to hear for me, or does something, and I can immediately, explode, kind of. So that's why if I want to be able to be compassionate with others, I have to have a daily practice to create and maintain my own inner peace and my own inner balance. And that doesn't mean that I can never feel angry or sad or whatever. It's not about that, but it's about allowing myself to feel whatever I'm feeling and connecting with those feelings and needs, and giving space for them, so that once I go out and once I go into interaction with others, I have that stability, that emotional stability to, to open myself up and listen to others, and listen to others who might have very, very, very different opinions that I cannot agree with. So that's why I would like to encourage all of you to find some ways to, and really ideally to have a daily practice where you can work on your own inner peace, and it doesn't have to be identifying feelings and needs all the time. No, everybody will have different things, but that's our invitation for you, and I think you can share those questions that we have prepared. So, I mean, this is just a small insight into the world, let's say, of nonviolent communication. There's a lot more to explore. There's a lot in a nonviolent communication practice. There are a lot of activities and exercises for us to really work with our inner life, right? So with our worries, fears, anxieties, and so on. So there's a lot to explore, but we wanted to also invite you to not just, leave this meeting in 7 minutes and forget about it, but our invitation is to think about, what does this mean for you when you think of peace? That could be your inner peace, that could be the peace you have with your relationships, whether that's your family members, your friends, maybe your work colleagues, your whoever you have like a regular interaction with, and also at the society level, right? What does this mean for me as a member of a group and in the encounter with another group? How can I practice my skills of empathic listening? So we have those questions for you, for you to answer them right now, but these are more really for you to take them home and find a quiet time sometimes, or maybe regularly even, and reflect about those questions. These are just some questions we could come up with to address. There can be many different other questions. Yeah, so I think we will share this presentation with you, so you can look at those questions and think about what does this input now of nonviolent communication mean for you personally in your interactions and for your work and your ventures, endeavors. And I think with that, we have another 5 minutes to have questions, feedback, comments, complaints, judgments, whatever you want to share with us and with the rest of the group.
So meantime, I received a question. I briefly explained the situation where some people choose to be silent rather than talking in difficult situations. So people have different patterns. So some people choose to be silent because they feel like shy, they don't want to express. And there are some people react, they express, quickly in a way that maybe a defending or aggressive mode. So it can be a pattern. So nonviolent communication is not encouraging people to be silent. It is encouraging people to speak, but to speak in a non-critical way, criticizing manner. So encouraging to express the feelings and needs. Even the person who is keeping silent can express they are scared or they are nervous, because when you are speaking the language of feelings, it can touch other people also. So It might be challenging at the beginning, but we can choose to express ourselves in a less intense situation. Then slowly we can improve.
I would like to add on that as well. I have been in a session once, and when a person became silent and didn't share anything, and then the facilitator asked others, "What do you hear?" And first, it's a little weird if the person doesn't say anything, but this question, "What do you hear?" invites us to really listen with all our body, right? And even silence is a message, and silence speaks so many things at the same time, right? So we can imagine, why do people choose to be silent, and what is alive in them when they choose to be silent? So that, of course, has to be a very sensitive space to be in. But just to reflect about that silence is also speaking, and we can connect and try to listen to the silence as well.
Yeah, it's a nice story, Johanna, because in the when we are committed ourselves to apply NVC in our lives, then we not only speak NVC language, we also translate other people's language into NVC. So there are times we need to translate the aggressive communication also into feelings and needs, and there are times we need to translate the silence also into feelings and needs. Okay, so we have, I think, 2 more minutes. So any comments or any key learnings? You can put it in the chat box also. You can share about your key learnings or any touching moments. So Keshan shares that valuable and great clear presentation. Siambala Pitige says, thank you. Zahra, there was a lot of learning from this session. I appreciate your thoughts. Thank you, Zahra. Welcome.
And I would actually like to share one link with you. As I said, there are a lot of videos and talks on YouTube that really, give you more impression into what nonviolent communication is about. And there's one documentary that was made in Nepal, where nonviolent communication was used in a kind of in a reconciliation process between people who had been actually in a war or had been affected in a war. And it's a very interesting documentary that really shows how this listening to each other's needs can create understanding and forgiveness among each other. So it's quite emotional at times, but I can really recommend it to, get some more insight into how this process works and what the potential it has for peace and reconciliation. So I'll put the link here, and I'll make sure that it also finds the way to you through other means. It's available on YouTube.
There are some questions for how to contact. So we can share our emails, contact details here.
Yes, you can find us on Facebook also, and we have a website. So feel free to contact us. We also do sometimes sessions and practice sessions. So we can always see what we can do in order to provide spaces for us to learn with each other and from each other.
Okay. I think we can conclude our session now.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Johanna.
Thank you, Johanna. Thank you, Ramanusha and Dr. Joe, for that wonderful and informative session. I just wanted to give a small message to the audience as well for the next session that's starting in 15 minutes, which is at 5:45. That is on engaging youth for social cohesion. We will share the link on the chat below, and please do join that session, which is also conducted by UNESCO New Delhi office. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye. Enjoy the next session.
Bye.